Dr. David Klee has over 30 years experience as both a teacher of the flute and as a professional musician. He has performed in all kinds of musical organizations, ranging from classical orchestras to heading his own jazz group, the Jazz Express. With these Pro Minute video series, Dr. Klee will share some of his secrets with you on how to become a better flutist. Hello, my name is Dr. David Klee, and welcome to another Pro Minute video series. Today we're going to look at the two Menuettos by J.S. Bach. Now, J.S. Bach was one of the premier composers of a time period we know today as the Baroque period, roughly 1685 to 1750. He was a German composer, and so what we like to do when we play a piece that he has written, we like to play it as well as we can in the style that maybe it would have been played during his time. So anyway, so if you look at measure 1 now, it should be on your screen. You'll see we have a trill. Well, in modern terms, you would just trill the F and go on. But during the Baroque period, there's something called prepare the trill, do the trill, terminate the trill. And there's 3 steps to it. So what I like to do, I like to start on the trilled note. You normally would trill F to G, so I would just start on the G. Then I go to the F immediately, I trill the F, I stop on the F, then I do the 2 32nd notes. So in real slow time, it'll sound like this. So that's how it could be done in slow time. I'll do it again slowly. Now what I'll do it in real time. And that's how you would do it. Okay, now measure 3, we have staccato notes, but I don't like to think so much short as separated. Ya da 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 dee la da da da. I play them that way. And now again, that's kind of more like how maybe they did it back then. Now measures 5 and 6, the unslurred quarter note, which in measure 5 is B3 and measure 6 B1, I like to give it full value. So 5, 6, and 7, I give those quarter notes full value. Alrighty. Now you would take the repeat and go back to the beginning. Now measure 9, after you've done the repeat, we have another trill. So, according to the rules of trills, what are you going to trill from? C to D. Well, what I like to do here, I like to first start on a real D fingering on the trill. Then I go to the C. Then I trill the C to D using the first trill key. Then I conclude on the C. Then I do the 2 32nd. So again, you got B natural, then you go to a real D, go to the C, trill with first trill key, go back to the C, and then do the 2 32nd notes. So I'll do it slowly. I'll do it again. Alrighty, so now if I do it in real time, and you can see how that can be interpreted. Alrighty, now measure 12, they're all staccato, so I like to just think nice and separated. So I play it like that. Now you notice, measure 9 is piano. But when we get to measure 12, we have a big crescendo going into measure 13. And then 13, guess what? That's like the first measure of the song. We got that F trill again. So I would play just like the very beginning. Now when we get to measure 15, we got 2 staccatos and then we have 2 sets of duple slurs. So I would play it like that. Now, that would repeat back to 9, and again goes back to piano. Your piano through 9, 10, 11. 12 you crescendo into measure 13. Now the second time through this repeat, when you get to 15, I would give it just a little bit of a ritardando, just slowing it down a little bit to kind of give a little finale to the end of this section. So if I start at 14, and you would conclude like that. Now, what you would do, you would take a breath between 16 and the second menuetto, and it would just be enough, just enough maybe the pianist could turn a page if they need to, and you free to take a nice breath. Now when you get to the second menuetto, typically it pairs like this. When you do the second menuetto, it's usually just a hair slower than the first menuetto, which we would do with this. And so you notice now, it starts out piano, and then you notice by measure 5 we have a crescendo to mezzo forte, moderately loud, on measure 6, but by measure 7 we're going to have a decrescendo going back to piano by measure 8, right before we take the repeat. So you want to do that. Now something interesting here, in measure 4, you notice you have the CBA, and then we have a little squiggly thing above between the A and the B, and that's called a breath mark. And what they're suggesting there is that's where you take your breath. Typically in music, if the melodic line changes direction, that's where you could take a breath, and it really fits out well. So I'm going to play the beginning and show you how to take a breath there. So you would do something like that. Alrighty, now we get to measure 10. We're back to piano. And it's the same thing. Now when we get to measure 14, there's a crescendo. So between 14 and 15, we're going to be crescendoing into 16. Alrighty? And then, when we get to measure 17, it says diminish. So we're going to get soft again, because by measure 18, lo and behold, we're back to piano. So 14, 15, we're crescendoing. 16, we're forte, loud. And then what I would do with 17 is, that's where we get soft. So I'll start at 14. And then you get soft again. Now, what you can do here, if you notice on measure 17, you have a dotted half note with a tie going into measure 18. What I typically would do there, the eighth note tied over from the dotted half note, I don't play the eighth note. That's where my breath is. So it's like 1, 2, 3, breath. Ya da 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 da. So the downbeat of measure 18 is your breath. And it really works out well musically. I mean, it just sounds so natural when you do it like that. So measure 18, 19, 20, same thing. We're soft. 21, 22, 23, 24. Now 25, what do we have? We have a crescendo. So now we're crescendoing back into to forte, which is measure 26. And then it'll just go and go and go, and finally by measure 28, you see the word diminish. That means we're getting soft again to go into 29. The reason why, because if you were to take the repeat, where does the repeat go back to? Measure 10. Well, we're soft there. So I would just go back to playing soft. Now, the second time through this repeat, when you get to 26, It's forte, 27, forte, 28. I would still be forte, and then I might decrescendo some, but I'm also going to slow down because this is the end of the song. So if I start, let's say, major 25 the second time through, and what you're doing what is called a finalis. You're finishing the song. You're making it sound like it's the end of the song. Okay, so I think this kind of gives you an idea. So again, the first movement, the first menuetto is going to be a little faster, a little brighter. Like that. And you do all the repeats. When you get to the end of the first one, remember you're going to slow it down just a little bit, kind of give it a semi-final ending. And then you go. And you play into the second menuetto. Remember, it's second menuetto, it's just a hair slower, where it's more like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Okay, so I think that'll carry you through here. So this will kind of really get you started with playing some Bach. The beauty of this is, back during the Baroque period, they would have played a wood flute. And the wood flute back then would have been 6 holes and only an E flat key on the old Baroque flute. I've actually had to play one. When I was doing my doctorate, I actually had to play one. My teacher wanted me to actually play a whole sonata on a real Baroque flute, so I got to play on one. And I can promise you, I prefer the modern flute. It's a whole lot easier fingering wise. So, I think this will get you going. And until next time, this is Dr. David Klee, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.